4 million pickup trucks, once the undisputed badge of American work ethic, are now being dumped for Black Friday at staggering discounts. These aren't just sales, they are a sign of deep distress. Dealers aren't being generous. They're in a desperate, last-ditch fight to offload inventory before it becomes a financial liability that sinks their entire business. What started as routine holiday markdowns has spiraled into a frantic race to survive an industry-wide financial crisis that has been years in the making. Behind the headlines and the jaw-droppingly cheap numbers is a hidden trigger threatening hardworking Americans far beyond the dealership lot. A trigger that involves predatory lending, corporate manipulation, and the collapse of the blue-collar dream. Just how close are we to a meltdown that could shake the very heart of the country? Nothing on American roads says hard work and rugged independence like a pickup truck. For generations, these rigs have literally carried the weight of the country. They haul lumber to build new homes, tow equipment for family farms, and shuttle the electricians, welders, and roofers to job sites before the sun even thinks about rising. In small towns and sprawling suburbs alike, the Ford F-Series, Chevy Silverado, and Ram 1500 are more than just vehicles. They are lifelines, symbols of a willingness to get your hands dirty. They are the first thing you see at a construction site, and often the last thing left running when a storm knocks out the power. They are passed down from father to son, bought with precious overtime pay, and sometimes even mortgaged against the hope of a better job next season. Year after year, these trucks top the sales charts, with the F-Series holding its title as America's best-selling vehicle for over 4 decades. When prices climbed dramatically in the last decade, Americans kept paying more, stretching their loans longer, sometimes up to 84 months, and kept buying, even as sticker prices soared past $60,000. Now, those same machines are being treated like yesterday's news. This doesn't just hit the sales chart, it hits the pride and the livelihood of the people who rely on them. But let's cut through the hyperbole right now. The claims of 4 million trucks flooding the market, that's the sensational headline designed to grab your attention. It's a massive distortion. A forensic audit of national dealer lots from November 2025 puts the total new and used truck inventory in the U.S. retail pipeline at barely over a million, around 1.1 million unique pickups. Most industry estimates show only about 650,000 are brand new, with the rest being used or sitting in transit. The myth of a 4 million truck apocalypse falls apart under the hard data. The confusion comes from sloppy accounting, double counting trucks that move from lot to auction and back again, or sweeping in SUVs and vans into the truck category. However, the evidence is clear. While it is nowhere near 4 million, an inventory of over a million pickups is still a serious, paralyzing problem. That number is still far too high for a market where consumer confidence and credit are shrinking fast. So, if the number isn't an apocalypse, then why is 1.1 million trucks enough to trigger total financial panic? Every unsold truck sitting on a dealer's lot isn't just a missed sale. It's a financial bomb ready to detonate. Dealers don't own most of this metal outright. They rely on floor plan loans, massive, multi-million-dollar revolving credit lines from banks and specialty lenders to front the cash for inventory. Each new F-150 rolling off the carrier lands on the lot already carrying a mounting debt burden. Interest, insurance, and rent. The longer it sits, the more it eats away at the dealer's fragile profit margin. Interest rates that hovered around 4% just a few years ago have now doubled or tripled, with many dealers, especially the smaller independents, paying up to 12% on unsold inventory. For a standard $60,000 truck, that means nearly $500 a month in interest alone. Add insurance premiums and lot maintenance, and holding on to a single full-size pickup can cost over $1,400 for just 2 months. Multiply that by dozens or hundreds of trucks, and the numbers become devastatingly ugly, fast. The lenders are the ones truly in control. They now demand partial principal repayments, called curtailments, at strict 30, 60, and 90-day intervals. Miss one of those curtailment payments, and the consequences are immediate and brutal. Lenders can freeze credit lines, demand full repayment of the entire loan, or send auditors to inspect every car on the lot. One chief financial officer at a mid-sized 10-store dealer group describes the pressure as relentless. After their advance rate dropped mid-year, their monthly interest bill soared from $70,000 to $115,000. When several trucks aged past 120 days, the lender called for an immediate auction. The group lost an average of $4,000 per truck, wiping out a year's worth of profits in a single quarter. For smaller rural dealers, the squeeze is even more crushing. One owner watched interest jump to 10.5% and was suddenly hit with a demand to pay off every truck older than 4 months. With local buyers scarce and floor plan costs skyrocketing, they had no choice but to slash prices 15% below book value. They were forced to discount deeply and take the hit or risk losing access to credit entirely. The panic pricing sweeping the country isn't just about moving metal. It's about survival in a financial game where the rules keep changing. And the deck is stacked against the local business owner. But the dealers aren't the only ones paying the price. In fact, they're just passing the pain down the line. The repo lots are filling up because the working-class families who bought these trucks have been pushed past the breaking point. For Jason and Maria in Des Moines, their Ford F-150 was supposed to secure their future. They signed for it in 2022 with a new baby on the way. The sticker price was high, but the 8% APR and the promise of 7 years of payments made it sound manageable. For a while, the truck worked hard, hauling drywall for Jason's contracting jobs. But as work slowed down, Jason's hours were cut back after a big commercial project fell through. The truck became a monthly reminder of what they owed. Nearly $800 every 4 weeks, on top of soaring gas prices and insurance premiums. When the transmission started slipping, the repair bill ate their savings. By late 2024, they were upside down by nearly $12,000. After missing 2 payments, the calls started, then the letters, and then the inevitable. Jason remembers the night he parked the truck at the bank's lot and left the keys in the drop box. It felt like giving up a piece of their future. Across the country, stories like theirs are multiplying. Industry trackers put repossessions up 38% from last year, with pickups leading the charge. Repossession yards on the outskirts of Dallas and Atlanta are filling up faster than they can process titles or schedule auctions. One operator describes the scene as a rolling flood, with trucks arriving faster than buyers can bid. Nationally, more than 16,000 pickups sit in repo or auction limbo on any given day. These trucks started as a way to keep working and provide for family, but as prices soared and loans stretched, the safety net wore thin. This is the shattering reality of debt that the big automakers refuse to acknowledge. As families lost their trucks and dealers spiraled toward insolvency, manufacturers didn't wait for the market to correct. They pulled out the corporate playbook and started rewriting the rules in real time to protect their own bottom lines. Overnight, rebates on the Silverado and Sierra jumped by as much as $8,000. Ford's incentives stacked up so quickly that sales managers got rebate whiplash. These weren't standard year-end sales. Automakers rolled out emergency bonus cash stackable with existing deals, all tied to insane volume targets that only the largest dealers could realistically hit. For a dealer in Phoenix, that meant an extra $2,000 per truck if they cleared 40 units before Thanksgiving. The real kicker: miss the target by even a single truck and the entire bonus disappears. It's a system built to reward the giants and punish the rest. Dealers were forced into desperation. Advertise trucks at $12,000 off MSRP, throw in free maintenance, or offer to pay off a buyer's old loan, no matter how underwater. Every rebate, every bonus was a lever pulled at corporate headquarters, designed to shift the entire financial risk off the manufacturer's balance sheet and onto the local dealer. The corporate rebate machine had done its job, pushed risk out of Detroit and onto the backs of the people who are just trying to keep America's trucks moving. But the fallout spreads far beyond the showroom floor and the repo yard. When the trucks stop moving, so does the money for everyone tied to the business. This is the ultimate ripple effect. In towns across the Midwest and South, parts suppliers and service shops wake up to contracts canceled overnight. A transmission rebuilder in Wichita who spent 20 years supplying local dealers gets a call on a Monday morning. No more orders until further notice. The parts warehouse he delivers to slashes its standing inventory by half. Mechanics who once worked overtime to keep fleets running now watch their lifts sit empty, their hours cut with no warning. One shop owner in rural Oklahoma, the kind of guy who built his business on a handshake, laid off 3 of his 6 technicians before Thanksgiving, telling them there was just not enough work to go around. Upholstery shops, detailers, and tint installers who built their businesses on prepping new trucks now scramble for odd jobs.